Hello everybody, my name's Nicola and welcome back to my channel. This is the Frugal Cottage where we talk all things money to help you with your financial journey. So it is the end of another month, another strange month by all accounts, and so I thought I would show you my budget review, how it works and how our budget has gone this month. Don't forget to like and subscribe and let's get started. So this month again has been quite strange. I've pretty much just been at home for the most of it. The last week or so I've kind of ventured out to go on walks and things, but apart from that I've just been at home. And in some areas of our budget that shows that we've just been at home in terms of spending, but in other areas it means that we've spent a lot more, and I will explain more about that when we get there. So if you're not new, this is my budget planner. I filmed a June 2020 budget setup. I'll leave the link down below if you want to see how I set this all up. This is how I do the review at the end. So as per usual, so my bills calendar gets done at the start of the month and it stays like that, nothing changes on there. In fact, June will be the last month that my budget planner looks like this. I intend to change it slightly if possible so that it works slightly better for how I'm now doing our budget, because it's changed slightly since I originally did this. So nothing's filled in there yet. I don't have any debt repayments on there. So I've mentioned this in my June 2020 setup about sinking funds, but basically I'm hoping to start them again in June, but for May there is nothing on there because I haven't done anything about them. Here's the short answer. The long answer is that I felt like I can't focus on doing anything about them yet because it's saving for things that we don't know we're going to be able to do yet, like the summer holidays, like going on our own holiday. It seems really daft because, hopefully we're going to do something during the school holidays, but it just seems weird when the unknown is so unknown still. So I've left sinking funds for now, but in June they will hopefully start again, so that should have something on next month. So my first thing to talk about in this is my no spend day tracker. So as you can see at the bottom, I aimed for 20. There's actually more spend days on there than I would have thought. I thought it would be slightly easier to not spend. Obviously I should know by now that if I think something's going to be easy, it probably ends up not being at all. So how many have I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I've managed to get 21 in the end, so I'm pleased at that. I've met my aim of 20. There are a couple of days in here which are almost kind of like impulse purchases, and I'll talk about those in a second. But on the whole, that's good. Again, I like the no spend days. This no spend day tracker is a separate thing to the budget planner. This is also available to download on my site. I will leave a link below. I like the colouring and the visual representation of no spend days. I know it doesn't work for everybody, but it definitely works for me, and I suggest tracking your days when you spend versus the days when you don't, just to see if there are any patterns you can address if you want to, or if you spend on the same days all the time and is there a reason for that. It does help to kind of look at your own spending habits. But that's the end of the month no spend day tracker for me. That's what it looks like. Fairly pleased with that. It should have gone better, but there we go. So the expense tracker. So I said last week, I'm going to be able to stay on one page. It's going to be great. No, I had to go over to the next page briefly, but that's okay. Now, one of the reasons for that is I had a bit of an impulse buy. It wasn't totally an impulse buy. I've been thinking for a while about the fact that whenever I do go back to work, I would quite like a new work bag. Mine's looking really kind of quite shabby, it's really worn, it could do with being chucked out basically, and I've used it and used it, and actually the bag that I'm using for work was a free bag anyway, so I feel like I got my worth out of that. So I had been thinking about kind of getting a new work bag for quite a while, and then I was browsing the Fat Face website looking for presents for somebody else, and a bag caught my eye, and I pondered about it, and I have actually bought it as a work bag. Now, I haven't gone back to work yet. I work in an educational setting and at the moment we are not open. So, it's not a necessary purchase. I didn't need to buy it quite so soon, if you like, but I have. It's arrived, it's lovely. But that here, miscellaneous Fat Face, £52.60 because of shipping. It was definitely not on the plan for the miscellaneous budget this month, let's put it that way. But then neither were my Amazon shelves that are in the background of my videos, which I absolutely love. I'm so pleased I bought those. It makes it look much better behind me than just a blank grey wall. So a couple of purchases that have really impacted the overall total of our budget, but you know, there you go. Some months are like that, I suppose. I am going to do also, I hope next week, an update on my no spend year and how I feel that's going and how it has changed since I first made that video. I'll leave the link below to my original no spend year video in the description box if you want to check that out, but it has changed slightly since it started, mainly because the situation we're in has changed. But yes, I've had to go over to 2 pages for my expense tracker, only slightly, only at the top. And also this one Morrison's yesterday is the food shop for next week, which is essentially June, but because it's been in May, I've counted it in May's budget figures, so that makes that look slightly worse, as you'll see in a second, than perhaps it would be, because it's the majority of that is in June, but it's been spent in May, if that makes sense. That's where it doesn't always look great, but in the long run it kind of balances out. So there we go. So I'll turn over, so not use the 3rd page. Okay, and there you can see, so this is the weekly check-in for week 4. So we spent £87.24 on food this week. Now, like I said, the majority is that for the week ahead, and obviously the 1st of June is tomorrow, so all of that pretty much is for the June budget, but not because it's in May's budget, because it's been spent in May. So that makes our food budget look much worse than it is if I was counting just like when we're eating the food, but that's not how I do my finances, so I've left it as that. So we are minus, as in I've gone over budget by quite a lot in the food, as you can see. Petrol, we've not put any petrol in the car yet again. One of the big silver linings to not being able to go anywhere, and so I'm not going to work, is the amount of petrol we are kind of not using. The amount of money we're saving and not putting petrol in the car every week is quite a substantial amount. You know, I've been at home for over 2 months now, and that thing in our budget has definitely changed, and will then change back whenever I get back there. Miscellaneous said this is the worst one, and I cannot tell you the last time I went over so much in miscellaneous. That's insane. So I've gone over budget by over £100. Now if I factor in these shelves and my new work bag, that kind of is most of that actually. So if I'd not purchased either of those things, I would have been about on track. However, I don't regret either purchase, to be fair. I haven't been spending as much on certain areas of our budget anyway, and I do rarely buy things for myself like that, so I'm not worried about that. But on paper it looks awful, I will admit that. And then the children, so again, we've not spent anything on them this week, so their budget is still really intact. We've not really touched that, which helps in the other areas, I'm not going to lie. Turning over is the bill tracker. So I actually don't use this page. I use the bills calendar at the front. If you have lots of bills and you want to track them more kind of as a list by date, then this one's handy. I don't use it because I like the visual representation of the bills on the bill calendar at the front. Like I said, I am actually in the process of changing how my budget planner looks slightly, and one of the pages that I want to change is this one, because it kind of seems like it's a bit of a surplus thing, because you could write all your bills on the calendar and then have that in front of you to kind of glance at. So yeah, I'm kind of tweaking that. There's nothing on there for mine because I don't use it. So extra income kind of links to the sinking funds. So I haven't done anything for extra income this month. This doesn't include any kind of blog related income. This is things like selling on eBay or Facebook, kind of pretty much. It doesn't include any income that I do, side hustle income. I'll leave the link below to my April side hustle income video if you want to see what I include in that as opposed to this extra income. I know that might seem quite confusing. I haven't done any extra income yet. Well, I haven't in May, and I won't, obviously it's the end of May today. In June I'm hoping that maybe that will change and we can get that going again. That links into the sinking funds because I like to try. My method was going to be that I'd make extra income and then that would go into our sinking funds and build those up, as well as kind of savings and all that. So hopefully for June that will start again. Savings, so this is one of the big things about not going anywhere, is that apart from shopping online clearly, I'm nowhere near spending as much as I was before, just on like little things. So I don't know, just popping out, or the children's budget would be used much more often. So in May, my savings aim, as it is for every single month this year, is £700. £700 a month for saving is quite a fair stretch on our budget, and if I hit it then it's great. I don't always. £700 is a really big chunk of our joint household income, but we're aiming for early retirement, and I'll leave a link below to that video, and that's why it's that high. However, because we've not been going anywhere or doing anything or spending a lot generally, I've managed to save this month £951.18. Like, that's insane. I can't even begin to tell you the percentage that is of our household income. Not just my income, our household income. So I've put £700 in my investments. That's going towards building my £1,000 a month dividend income stream, which I'll also leave a link below for. Please watch that if you haven't. It explains a lot of the reasons why we're doing everything. And I've then put £251.18 into our emergency fund because we're trying to build that up as well. If anything, this kind of scenario, this pandemic has shown that we've not got anywhere near enough of like liquid cash savings that we can access. Most of our savings is tied up in my investment account. I say tied up, it's there on purpose, but we couldn't access that immediately if we needed to. So what we're trying to do now is any kind of spare change is being transferred across in what I call an account tidy. I've got a post about an account tidy. I'll leave that below. It's the simplest way to kind of bump up your savings. So we've been doing that during the month to our emergency fund. I can't remember the last time I saved this much money in a month, and it genuinely is because we're not doing anything. And it just shows actually just how little we can get by on if we're quite happy to potter around at home. And now don't get me wrong, I'd love to be able to take the boys to, say, soft play or the park and get an ice cream, or, you know, the seaside, and likewise. But there's something nice about being at home and being in your garden and things. It's a bit of a, yeah, it's been an interesting experience from that perspective. And of course, as someone who's looking at doing early retirement, this has almost been like a really weird kind of practice of that. Obviously when we get to early retirement, we won't have two children aged 4 and 2, so it might even be more relaxing. But the general idea of kind of not going to work and having to do things, and although I say that, my husband's been to work all this time, so maybe it hasn't, I don't know. I'll stop rambling. Anyway, so my savings aim has been really good. I'm really pleased with that for this month. Now finally is the reflection page, and you can see there that things have not gone quite to plan. So I talk about my 4 variable expenses in this reflection. This is the ones that are interchangeable in the sense that they can change, we can swap in and out and whatever. Food budget was always going to be tricky, and I've already increased it to £300. At the start of the year, our food budget was £250, and that was good. I increased it to £300 because we were finding we were spending more and more on branded items because we couldn't get. We've gone over budget, even though I've increased it by £91.24, which I'm a bit disappointed in, I'm not going to lie. One kind of quite large amount of that, to be fair, is the fact that I've done a food drop yesterday, and barring today, all of that food will be eaten in June. But because I do my budget on the days we spend, it comes under May's food budget. And that would have taken that down to like 315 something. So then it wouldn't seem quite so bad. But yeah, it is what it is. Hopefully next month it will be lower again. There's just, I think supermarkets just have stopped kind of getting in like their own brand stuff, and we're having to buy loads of branded things and just more expensive versions of things, if that makes sense. Petrol, like I said, we've only spent £30 in petrol this month, which is a massive saving on normal, so there's still £50 in the petrol budget for May. Miscellaneous, I've already talked about that, so we went over budget by £123.07 in the miscellaneous. I can name the things that got us over that. 1 is my shelves for the office, which I love, so I don't begrudge those at all. The 2 is my work bag that I also don't mind. 3, we've bought a picnic blanket and cool box thing and things to do going out picnics. That takes us to nearly £130, and that's where it's gone. So at least when I talk about this, I know where the money is, like as in I know where it's being spent. It's not being spent on really random things that I can't name, and that's because I do the budget planner. Finally, the children's budget. We only spent £19 on them. That was at the start of the month as well. We bought them a couple of new toys, so theirs is still intact. Things to do differently for June, for me, is no online shopping. I think that's fairly clear as to why. That is my May 2020 budget reflection, monthly reflection, how it's all gone. Up tomorrow will be my June aims. I'll leave a link below to my June budget setup, that's been done already. How have you found May? Are you finding like we are that we're spending more in certain areas and not in others? Let me know how you've got on. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you again very soon.